Hello everyone, device management. In this video, we will take a look at our Palo Alto Firewall management overview. Setting out our management interface is sometimes a task that is overlooked in not just firewall, but other network appliances. I've had the opportunity to implement Palo Alto's in many network environments, and one issue that I came across every time, or I would say most of the time that I've been performing this type of task, it's seeing that the management interface was pretty much reachable from all across the network. I had the opportunity to work on an environment that it was actually enabled from the guest Wi-Fi. Can you believe that? Anyway, we're going to be discussing how can you prevent that by creating management profiles and assigning them to the right interfaces. And we also will take a look at the management interface. The management interface is not only just to manage the firewall, it performs much more than that. So we will take a look at the management interface on all Palo Altos, as well as setting up local administrators and assigning rights by adding them to the respective administrator groups. Okay, so let's take a look at that out-of-band management interface and let's see where the actual location is going to be on most Palo Alto firewalls. Okay, so you're currently looking at two Palo Alto front panels. We got a PA5260 and we also have a PA3250 down below here. And I want to show you where that management interface is currently located. If we take a closer look at the PA5260, you're going to see dedicated MGT. That's your management interface. On all Palo Altos, you're going to get a dedicated management interface. If we take a look at the 3250, so let's take a look at the 3250, you're going to see it right here. So every single Palo Alto will come with a dedicated management interface. If we take a look at the chassis version of the Palo Alto, in this case we have a 7080, but most other chassis will basically have the management interface located on the same location, which in this case is going to be the supervisor blade. So let's take a closer look and you should be able to see it right here. There you go. That's your management interface, and this, again, this usually it's on the supervisor interface. So you're going to see the management interface on the supervisor module. Okay, so there you have it. We covered the management interface on the physical appliance itself. Let's take a look at the management profiles. Okay, so once we logged in onto our Palo Alto, we're going to click on network. We're going to go right below here, interface management, click there, and we're going to click add. There, we're going to be presented with this window, which is basically the interface management profile. This is where we're going to create that profile. Real quick, we're going to see a couple of options that we're going to go through. Administrative management services. This is basically the type of port or servers that you're going to be allowing with this management profile. Usually I'll go HTTPS and SSH because those are secure sockets, so make sure that you have secure, not try to avoid telnet, HTTP. Just go SSH and HTTPS. And network service, we can have a ping, meaning that if you want to monitor that interface for up and down with your monitoring tool, you must enable ping. HTTP OCSP, we can enable that. However, for this particular training, we're just going to focus on the basic management services and network services that we can enable on the interface that you're allocating this profile. SNMP is mostly needed environments. If you're probing using your management tool, monitoring tool, you should definitely enable SNMP. If you were going to enable a captive portal or a specific splash page for anyone that hits that particular interface, this is where you're going to be enabling. If you want to have user ID based service attached to that interface, we are going to be enabling from here, and we'll discuss this particular setting on an upcoming video. On your right, you're going to have the permitted IP address list, and if you remember on the beginning of the video, I was discussing that we had a customer that he basically, the old firewall, he was able to hit the management interface pretty much everywhere on the network. So again, on the Palo Alto, you have flexibility of going very simple and configure a list of IP addresses or range of IP addresses or subnets that are allowed to hit those management ports. So in this case, if we have a particular subnet that we want to allocate, enable access to the HTTPS interface as well as the SSH console access, we can do it through just adding the permitted IP list. Let's go ahead and click add. And in this case, I have a 10 network. Say for example, it's a 10/24. I'm gonna add it here. Let's call it our first management. And by the way, I like naming my management profiles with the settings that I'm adding onto them. So I know that if I want to select between multiple management profiles, I know exactly which one I'm going to select. I don't need to take a look at what type of setting will that management profile enable. So in my case, I'm going to do MGT, which is management, and then we're going to label it HTTPS, SSH, which we enable SSH, ICMP, and SNMP. And that's it. So basically, once we select from our list of management profiles, if we have multiple profiles, by just looking at the name, we can know exactly which one we're going to be using based on the case. Let's click OK. And there you go. You have this one. We're going to go ahead and apply it to an interface. So we're going to go to an interface. Let's select Ethernet 1/1, and let's configure that to be a layer 3 interface. And let's go ahead and assign a management profile. So once you change the interface type, and again, we're going to go into networking on a separate session, but just for this video, I would like to show you how basically it's done. Click on layer 3, and then you can actually configure the IP addresses here and all the zone assignments and router per se. So let's go ahead and click advanced. And right here, you're going to be adding that management profile onto the interface. Click here, and there you go. We have our management profile, and we're going to apply it to that interface. And as part of our training, let's go ahead and add an IP on this interface. So let's call it the 10.10.01.24. So there you go. So right now, with this management profile, on interface Ethernet 1/1, we're going to be able to hit 10.10.01 via HTTPS, SSH. We're going to be able to do ping tests or ping probing, which in this case ICMP probing, and then we're going to be also able to do SNMP queries. So there you go. Once you make sure that you have that allocated, we're going to click OK. And final thing, in order to make it active, commit. So basically that's it. Once we have the management profile assigned to the interface, that's all you need. You're going to be able to access HTTPS management, SSH management by applying the management profile on that particular interface. Okay, so in our final topic of this video, we're going to take a look at local administrators and how can we delegate specific rights by creating administrator roles. In your network, you might have multiple people performing configuration changes and monitoring your network appliances. When it comes to firewalls, you definitely need to delegate the roles to the right individuals. And this is where we're going to be configuring admin roles to perform that. So let's go ahead and click on device. And right here on admin roles, this is where you're going to be configuring that. By default, you're going to see 3 default admin roles. So if you click the first one, you're going to see that this admin role profile, which is the audit admin, will have rights to perform logging monitoring function on the firewall. So he's going to be able to log in, but only perform those specific functions. So anything that is enabled, showing a green check mark, it means that he's entitled or she's entitled to perform. Everything that is an X, it means that I am not allowing that with this particular profile. So anyone that you assign a particular role profile, you're actually providing the rights for that particular user. So if we scroll down, you can see that it's enabled for a global menu, which in this case is device, but then right below, he's only allowed in the device tab to work on the log settings. And inside the log settings, he's only allowed to manage the logs. So if we go onto the drop-down menu, device, meaning that we're here on the device, log settings, meaning that it's this particular section right here, and inside that log setting, this audit admin profile is only allowed to manage the logs. So he's not able or she's not able to do any configuration whatsoever, just manage the logs. So again, you can see also he has or she has additional rights, but it's mostly a monitoring admin. So in this case, it's the audit admin. So if we click cancel, let's take a look at our second one, crypto admin. He will have also, or she will have also the same kind of rights, but in this case, he's able to perform IPsec tunneling. So he's going to be able to perform or configure, I should say, IPsec tunnels. So anything that is related to the tunneling section and our network side, he will have access to that, or she will have access to that particular section. So I just want to show you that you can be very granular when it comes to permissions, specific user accounts. So let's go ahead and create a custom one, okay? I'll click on cancel. I'm going to click add. Let's create an account that the individual will only be able to perform network changes, but nothing else. So meaning that he or she will be able to click the network tab and configure everything inside the network tab, but nothing else. So let's go ahead and set the name. It's going to call it network admin, and let's allow it to go to the dashboard. We're going to allow this role profile to access ACC. Same with monitoring. Let's also make sure, because he's a network admin, I don't want this individual to make any policy changes. So let's take that out. Same with objects. I'm not allowing you to make any changes on the object tab nor the policies tab. And then on the network, yes, we want to make sure that this individual, whoever gets assigned this role profile, he or she will be able to access the network tab and perform all those functions. So if we keep scrolling down, nope, I don't want this profile to have access into the device settings. So let's remove that, remove the privacy setting, and yes, he will be able, or she will be able to validate a configuration change. He or she will be able to save and commit. Let them be a global management for system alarm. He or she will be able to perform changes on the global side. Command line, we can delegate to be a device admin. That's it, nothing else. Because if we have super user account, he or she will be able to make all those changes are not allowed in the web UI. He's going to be, or she will be able to do that through the command line. Or we can just say, oh, you're just a device reader. So that's it. Just to do some show commands, and that's it. We don't want anything else. Click OK. OK. And now that we have that, we're going to go ahead and create an account so we can allocate that administration role onto it. Click on administrators, add. We're going to call this John Network Admin. We're going to add a password. And then we're going to make it a role-based administrator. So by clicking role-based, we're going to be able to use our admin role onto it. Click on role-based, and then we're going to select that profile, network admin. Click OK. And finally, click commit. There you have it. Now, John, using that particular network account, he's going to be able to do network changes, and that's it. He's not going to be able to do anything but network changes. And that's how you delegate rights to your staff, so each individual will manage the firewall independently without, not having conflicts, or even worse, providing access to a section that a specific administrator should not be allowed to. Okay, so we reached the end of our section 1. In section 2, we're going to begin looking at creating firewall objects. Thank you for watching.